Welcome to Inside Independent Publishing with IBPA. I'm your host, Christopher Luck, and I'm also the IBPA Director of Membership and Member Services. Okay, so one quick announcement. Please make sure to sign up for IBPA Publishing University. The conference is in two parts. There's a virtual conference on April 20th through 21st, and there's an in-person conference on April 29th through 30th in Orlando, Florida. Visit publishinguniversity.org for all the details. And as a special bonus for everyone listening to this podcast, we're going to give you a 15% discount. Now, you need to listen to the whole show, and somewhere within there, we're going to pop in an ad that will have the promo code. So yes, you do have to listen to the show. Okay, all right, so let's start today's podcast. Okay, so social media provides independent publishers with many incredible opportunities to promote their books, but it feels like there's a new platform popping up every single day. That can make it very overwhelming to figure out which one is the best. So today we have founder and CEO of Write, Publish, Sell. By the way, she also owns two hybrid publishing houses, Cat Biggie Press and Purple Butterfly Press. Apparently you're very busy. All right, so today we have Alexa Bigwarf, and she's going to give us the inside scoop on some of the most buzzworthy social media options available. Hello, Alexa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. And this is something that I've been wanting to have on the show for a while because there's always something new. And I know for me as an author publisher, and I know a lot of our IBPA members are like, do I have to get on every platform? Right. So let's talk about the most buzzworthy ones. There's been a lot of press about BookTok, Bookstagram, and BookTube. So those are ones I'm going to focus on. So let's talk about BookTok first. What is BookTok?
So BookTok is actually a community, if you will. It's on TikTok. So the way TikTok works is that they use hashtags that identify communities. So we all know if we've been on social media, the importance of hashtags, but people on TikTok really rely on these. They follow those particular hashtags, and that's how they find their people, their community. So there's tons of hashtag communities out on TikTok. You can find anything for any interest. And for authors and publishers, as you're thinking about your book, I would encourage you not to just funnel in on BookTok. I would encourage you to find the places where your ideal reader is actually going to be paying attention to. So if you're a therapist, what type of therapy? If you're a fiction writer, what are you writing, fiction or romance? Look for those types of hashtags and communities and follow the active accounts in them. But back to your original question. So BookTok is a community. People will follow that hashtag. And like any other social media, if they're following the hashtag, then the accounts that are using those, in theory, may or may not pop up in front of them. But if they're out there searching, they can search that hashtag and they can see who's posting on those topics. And of course, like any other social media, the thing about BookTok or TikTok in general that is unique to other platforms is that on Instagram, for example, if someone's following a hashtag, they may see it. If they're following you, they may see that thing in general. But TikTok does a great job of really trying to push content that they think people are going to want to see. So their algorithms are wildly intense at looking at your activity and the activities of the people that you follow and really trying to put together a curated list of things they think are going to knock it out of the park for you. So your content can wind up on what's called a For You page that's featured basically in front of the people that have those algorithms in common with each other. So it can be a really, really powerful tool.
So now, are these videos the publisher, author, who should be posting these videos?
So that is the best question in the world that anyone can answer, because here's the deal with all social media. It is very, very, very hard to grow your own platform of people watching you, right? But you need to have if you're using this, if you decide to use TikTok as a platform, you need to commit to it. You have to be posting daily and you have to be following the hashtags and you have to be engaging and doing all these things. So your first question before was, do I have to be on this platform? The answer is no. Is it a wonderful platform to use? Yes, if used properly. But I'm also going to talk in a minute about how you can still use it with being active. So ideally, if you're trying to build your own community of people that are following you and watching your stuff and looking for your things, then yes, you as the publisher should have an account, but your authors should have their own accounts and you can help them do the things that they need to do, because the best, and I'm sorry, I'm rushing, I'm saying a lot of things here, but there's so much that goes into this, but really the best way for a book to sell on TikTok is for people to have built a community that are interested in them, that like them, that are following them, that love whatever topic they're talking about. And the cool thing about TikTok is that it is average every day. Like, you do not have to get your makeup on and do the bells and whistles and all kinds of stuff. Like, some of the best, most viral videos are just people coming on and talking about their day, not doing anything fancy, talking about the subject, asking questions, doing things that will engage people and get them interested in that topic. So yes, if you're trying to build your own platform of followers, which I think anyone who is committed to TikTok should do, it's a great way to get in front of new audiences. Maybe not so much for selling books, though, directly, until you have a lot of people that really look to you and want to do that. Talk about your topic, talk about the books, all that kind of stuff. But how you can make it get so that that wasn't a great sentence. How you can put it out there so that you're getting the most emphasis and the most eyes on your content is by partnering with people who have already done the work of building huge communities. And that's where we see the most success. And with the big BookTok successes of people are either people that were already famous, so everyone's following and talking them about them anyway, like Colleen Hoover. She does her own TikTok. People love her. They follow her. Her books go wild on TikTok. But a lot of smaller authors have wound up with a lot of success because people with large platforms talk about their books there. So they've done some sort of outreach or somehow gotten in front of that person who already has a super engaged audience. They talk about their book. They hashtag it BookTok. It goes wild. And this BookTok hashtag is really, really, really key because librarians are following it. Retailers are following it. Readers are following it. Authors are following it. Like, the industry is following it. And if you've been in a Barnes and Noble or Books A Million or even many independent bookstores recently, if you're able to do that, they're all starting to put BookTok tables where they're featuring the books that are the most talked about in their stores. So this is a real thing. And that's the reason right there why it's worth making the investment. But I want to tell you that it is a hard investment of time because of the way the algorithm works. It really rewards people that are super, super engaged on the platform and posting 1 to 3 videos a day. Now, these video, it's a lot. They can be 15-second videos and it doesn't have to be huge things, but knowing how the algorithm works, following the right people, really engaging a lot. That's how you do it by yourself, partnering with people who've already cracked that nut and who love books that you're talking about and will share about it to their community. That's the fastest way to amplify yourself on BookTok.
Yeah, and it sounds then like if you're an author publisher, it's a little easier. You're talking about your own books,
right? But
if you're a independent publisher and you have authors, it almost sounds like maybe you can help them, but you don't necessarily have your own like TikTok account or something. You just try to help them maybe connect with influencers or something like that.
So it can be either way. I mean, a lot of publishers, because I do have 2 of my own, like, I understand, like, I don't have time to be going on TikTok every day and making videos about our books. However, I do have a social media manager and she loves to do TikTok. So she goes out there and we've focused on building a following of readers. So she'll post snippets of the books or highlights of the books, or there's, the fun thing about TikTok is that there's always these fun little like challenges and things going on. So for a little while, there was this thing that was like, turn to page 37 of whatever book you're reading, and the first 2 lines are what's happening in your life right now. So everybody was like videoing that and getting into that. And it can be a really fun, engaging place that way. But from a publisher perspective, we focus on just highlighting. We don't do a lot as a publisher on TikTok. We highlight some of our books and try to engage with others out there. We do a lot more for our social media presence for our conference and our Write Publish Sell membership community and things like that. But yes, it was a very long-winded answer to say, yes, it's much easier for the author to be doing this type of work because a publisher also can't speak authentically to the voice of the author. We're not passionate about all the same things that people reading that genre would be. We're not the person, and people love to follow the person. They love to know the authors. They love to know about their journey as an author and what's going on and where their ideas from their books came from and what they're writing next and what other books they're reading and all those types of things. So definitely as a publisher, kind of, you can have a presence just to do things from time to time, but you won't see any benefits unless you're using it regularly. So it's a lot more important to just encourage your authors to consider it and to get into it.
Yeah, yeah. And so on that note, is there anything in particular, like maybe like a little packet that publishers can create for like social media for authors to be like, okay, here's the possibilities, and then here's like some of the things about BookTok, for example, that you might want to look into? Like you were saying, genre is really important, that kind of thing. So maybe something like that would be helpful rather than you as the publisher creating your own account, create like something that helps your authors on that account.
Right. Or direct them to people who are doing it, just because I know we partner with some other publishers who have no interest in doing marketing. So we help them with some of their marketing. And that's kind of that, you can shove. That's not a really nice way to talk about your authors, but you can direct your authors gently to other resources out there, or just gather some information in general. Like you said, provide, and if you have a handbook for your authors, say, TikTok, should I do it? Should I not? Here's some key articles. Here's some information. And just encourage them to go out and find out more about it. But it's a really fun tool to play with for people that have the time to do that. And, it's not just fiction authors who are using it and doing it well. I'm working with an author who is a therapist, and she's writing her memoir about her journey as through a sexually abusive upbringing and how she came out of that. And her therapy also focuses around this topic. And let me tell you, there's a lot of people out there looking for healing, trauma support, things like that. So you don't have to say, well, I'm not writing vampire books. Nobody's going to want to follow me, or I'm not Colleen Hoover. I'm not this. That, like I said, there's communities for everybody. And the most important thing is to figure out how your voice fits into that community and how you start building relationships and engagement.
Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to see in terms of, sometimes people worry that they're being too salesy. And you did mention that not necessarily every post is about your book. So how do you handle that, the whole salesy concept of not worrying that you're overdoing it?
So the best way to get around salesy stuff is to tell what other people have said about your book. So if you have reviews or even video snippets of other people reading your book or showing about your book, and the cool thing is you can create videos that aren't live video. It can be videos of images that you can create and upload. So you can do videos of testimonials. You can do things like that. You can also read your book. People love to hear read aloud. So I mean, if you can do up to a 3-minute video until you get the capacity to go live, which is at 1,000 followers. So in 3 minutes, you can give them teasers of your book, read them passages. That's always fun. People want to learn more that way. Or you can focus on some of the other elements that are intriguing to the authors. So let's say you're writing a book about the South in the Civil War, talk about, because then you're going to want people who are interested in historical fiction, Southern historical fiction, things like that. So talk about other things that are interesting. Did you know that blah, 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 oh, look, I just went to this place and I found out, oh, I'm doing my research. There's lots and lots of ways to incorporate the topic of interest that those readers will be looking for without saying, go buy my book, go buy my book. And then you just naturally put it in there from time to time. When I was researching my book, as I did this for, those types of things are a lot better than just saying, go get my book, go get my book.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's move on to Bookstagram. All right, let's start with the same way. What is Bookstagram?
All right. So Bookstagram, again, is a hashtag on Instagram. Again, like TikTok, hashtags and they're not so much communities on Instagram. They're just hashtags people follow. You can follow a hashtag in your feed just like an account. So if you search Bookstagram and you click follow on that, all of those will show up in your feed just like someone that you're following. So for authors, Bookstagram is really important for a couple of reasons. One, you need to be using it on your own posts so it shows up where people are looking for them. But Bookstagram started and in a big picture is for people who are actually reviewing books. So I wouldn't put Bookstagram about any of your random posts, like your lifestyle posts. But if you're leaving a review of a book, if you're posting reviews of your book, if you're doing things that are related to that, then use the Bookstagram. But it's also a way for you to find people who are avidly reviewing books. So the Bookstagram hashtag is your way to tap into people who are the people you want to reach out to say, would you also read my book? And get engaged with them that way. Now you want to niche down, of course, because not all Bookstagrammers talk about every single topic. So you want to make sure that you're also looking for other things like kidlit, romance, reads romance, other hashtags that are going to be relevant, and try and follow those accounts, see what they're posting about. See, the important thing is that just because somebody's posting a Bookstagram does not mean the whole world is going to see it or that it's going to generate anything. So it's important to see, you'd be surprised how much influence someone with 500 followers can have. So you don't have to necessarily have someone who's got 20,000 followers, but if they've got 500 followers and every time they post about a book, they're getting, 100 likes and comments and engagement and things like that, that's a really good indicator that they have a target audience that matches with the books that they're talking about. And that's really important. The thing about social media, and the New York Times just put out a very interesting article about this as well, talking about that having millions of followers does not guarantee book sales. And that's so true. Like having these followers, they may just like to look at book covers. They may just like to get, ideas to put on their list that they might buy next summer when they're stocking up. They might go to their library and ask if that book is available. So even a really successful campaign of your book with Bookstagram reviewers does not necessarily mean you're going to sell a lot of books immediately, but it does mean that your book is getting in front of people that it would have never gotten in front of before. Hopefully the author tags or the Bookstagrammer tags the author when they post about the book and leave their reviews. And most importantly, if you have a hashtag for your book that you can ask that reviewer to use. So like if your book is called, Winter in Paris, hashtag Winter in Paris or hashtag Winter in Paris book, so that it's more clear, ask them to use that in their review so that you can search to see anybody who's used that hashtag and engage on those posts, like those posts, follow the people who comment on the post, start building relationships, because again, it's so much about relationships and all of this stuff, more so than it is just posting pictures of your book and even getting reviews of your book and saying, okay, I'm going to start seeing sales now.
Yeah. Well, that person who wrote Winter in Paris is very excited you mentioned their book.
I love all things Paris. So my book is 4 Days in Paris, if anybody wants.
Oh, there you go. Hashtag 4 Days in Paris.
There you go.
So I wanted to ask, we just talked about BookTok. So I want to compare those two, Bookstagram and BookTok. Like, is there a particular genre, type of reader that's on one or the other that you should be like, you're like, I'm a mystery writer, you've got to be on BookTok as compared to Bookstagram or something like that?
Well, I will tell you that that TikTok, while there are lots of older users, I don't want to say older in a negative way, but I'll just say my age and above. I'm not a young chicken anymore. There are lots of users out there who are still using it, but a majority of the audience on TikTok is often the younger ones. They're looking for YA, thrillers, romance, the binge-worthy books you're going to see a lot of. But that is not always the case. We did a TikTok workshop not too long ago, and we featured a poet whose poetry was read by a very influential person on TikTok. And not only did her current book blow up, but every book she'd ever written. So the backlist is important too. When somebody comes in and starts talking about you, people go do that. So it's hard to say, yes, you're going to have success if you're this genre or not, without spending some time and really seeing what's out there. You can search and find, topics that would go along with your book or book genres and see how many people are talking about it. See if it's getting a lot of response. And that can give you an idea. But TikTok is amazing because it has allowed normal everyday people to just explode on the scene. And this is music, not a book, but there was a country song that he actually performed on New Year's Eve in Tennessee, and I heard him say that he was a nobody until his daughter played one of his songs on TikTok, and it developed into a whole dance that everybody was doing and everything. And now he's like it's one of the most famous songs out there. So that's the power of TikTok, is because people are excited to, like, you can do these cool things. You can stitch videos, which means you're sharing someone else's video as part of yours. You can do or add it to yours. You can do it. Anyway, we're talking about Instagram now, so I don't want to get back to TikTok. But
you love TikTok and BookTok.
But there's a lot of crossover. Instagram, honestly, is my favorite platform because it's where I like to show up. I can do it authentically. I love to take pictures. I love to show pictures. I love to, just engage with people and have relationships with people through images. And that's the beauty of Instagram. And there's still a lot of people using Instagram. A lot of teachers are on Instagram. A lot of moms are on Instagram. So if you're a children's book author, Instagram is still one of the best places for children's book authors, I believe. Lots of romance writers, lots of nonfiction and memoirists. I mean, there are, again, on Instagram, tons of people doing this. And it just, your success on Instagram is like your success with any other marketing endeavor. Are you reaching the right people? Are you talking to your niche target audience? Are you engaging and building relationships? Are you, following up on those things? One post about your book every 6 months is not going to do anything. One person, even if it's a very influential person using the Bookstagram hashtag, it's hard to tell if there's going to be results from that or not. But if you can build and this doesn't just have to be around launch. It can be, you can do this once a year on your anniversary of launch, every 6 months, whatever you want to do, but bring a group of these people together, moms, teachers, if you're obviously, writing books that they would be good readers that you've followed or are following you, and ask people to just do a blitz on Instagram where they're 10, 15 people on the same day or same week are talking about your book using your hashtag so that people are seeing it. Marketing 101, people have to see something 5 to 7 times before they take action on it. And we are so inundated with junk and noise from everywhere right now that one email is not going to do it. One post is not going to do it. It's consistent, and not giving up, because it adds up slowly over time. And Bookstagram is just like anything else in that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And one thing I want to clarify for people. So TikTok is video. Instagram, you can do video and images, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, yes, you can do reels on, and I'm glad you said that, because Instagram actually is really promoting reels right now. And that's just short little videos that you can put out there. And they're really, really pushing the video. They're trying to compete with TikTok right now, to be quite honest. So they're pushing a lot more of that. And again, with the videos on Instagram, they don't have to be you of your face. This is the thing we hear from authors the most of. I don't want to be on camera. You can make a million kind of videos that never, ever, ever show your face and are still interesting. And it even allows you, like, for example, I spend the most time on my personal Instagram account. But I was in France this summer and I took a video of the ocean, and it was just like, I don't know, 15 seconds of the ocean coming in and out. I put it to a popular song. I posted it, and lots of people saw it because the song gets attention, the video gets attention, those types of things. So wasn't marketing my book per se, but it was helping me just build I just like to be on Instagram. And I think people like authenticity. And for authors, my reaction is that there's 2 types of ways to use Instagram, either as a business, like where you are constantly, like if you're focusing on the core themes and the teaching and the elements of your book, like if you're doing health and wellness book, and you're constantly posting things about your daily health tip or your this or that. And it's much less about you as the individual and a lot more about the thing that people want to learn and to help them progress, or you use it primarily of you as a person, and you're posting a lot about you because you want people to follow you as a person, as a public figure, and then you post about your book as authentically as you can throughout that process.
Hello everyone! As promised, I'm revealing the IBPA Publishing University discount code. It's going to give you 15% off registration. Again, that's 1515. Okay, so go to publishinguniversity.org, and during checkout, you're going to put in this promo code, IBPA Podcast. It's all one word, it's lowercase. Again, it's IBPA Podcast. We can't wait to see you at this year's conference, which is split into two parts. There's the virtual conference that's on April 20th through 21st, and there's the in-person conference on April 29th through 30th in Orlando, Florida. All right, now back to the show. Well, let's talk about BookTube. So can you tell us what is BookTube?
So BookTube is the one I know the least about. So I probably should have done a little bit more homework. But I have worked with a couple BookTubers, and what I've seen is that there's a couple different types of BookTubers out there. So again, YouTube is always a relevant platform. People are constantly looking for things to consume via video. And this one, I know I've mentioned children's book authors a few times, but I have a children's book company, so I'm tuned in on this. People love to have their children read to. So if you're a children's book author, start your own dang YouTube channel and just start reading your book, or find okay. So a word on copyright. Technically, you're not allowed to read someone else's book without their permission on YouTube. However, I have talked to several authors who have said they could care less if someone reads their book on YouTube, especially if they have a big audience, because it's more eyes on their book. It's marketing for them. So, but you do have to be aware of that. But anyway, for the BookTubers, you have the kinds that like to read books, interview authors, talk about authors. One of my favorite BookTubers, Jess, oh my gosh, her last name just went out of my mind. I'll send you the link if you're interested in sharing it. But she does like a tea talk about industry news and whatever is interesting and exciting. So, of this last couple of years, there's constantly some kind of dirt to talk about in the publishing industry, either authors doing crazy things or publishers doing crazy things, or the diversity issue and the payment. I mean, if you think about the last 2 years, starting with like American Dirt and moving forward, we've had lots of interesting things to talk about in the publishing industry. So some of them kind of take on kind of like a news platform where they're just sharing the interesting things happening and asking people to talk about it. But they also talk about books that are either books that she actually takes reviews. You can go to her website and you can submit a book to her to consider for reviewing, and she'll read the books and talk about the books. But she blew up massively because people love talking about dirt. They love to know what's the inside scoop on things. And that's not always my route, but it works from a marketing perspective. So she's got a lot of followers. So when someone like her goes on their YouTube channel that thousands of people are subscribed to, and they throw in a book review, you're going to see some traction from that. Because here's the thing. In all of these platforms that we've talked about, there's one thread that's important, and that is the holy influencer. And people don't like that use the word influencer anymore. But the way it started, because I started in blogging over a decade ago when that was a very new term, it's anybody can be an influencer. Anybody who's listening to them, which we all have a platform now with all the social media, and people actually listen to you and do what you say afterwards, can be an influencer. So when you have these people on BookTube that people adore and are following and watching their videos, and Jess gets up and she says, I just read this incredible book and let me tell you about it, and let me post the link in my channel, people are going to click and they're going to buy because they know her. They've probably bought other books. They like what she talks about. And that's the importance of these. So whether it's someone who just reads books on YouTube, just reviews books on YouTube, and then you have author tubers who have their own whole world of BookTube where they're getting out there and doing writing sprints together and talking about their books and doing other things where they are engaging with people and bringing them into their video world. And of course, marketing their own books in the process. So the cool thing about all of these platforms is that you can use them however it best works for you by just finding the right segment and the right type of people. But yeah, that's BookTube.
Yeah. Well, and something I think is really important that a publisher can do for their authors is to do this research. Find these influencers, find the people that are reading, books and giving reviews of the genre that this book is, and then give that, to your author.
Yes.
But also, I think a publisher has more weight. So if you're the one who reached out to the influencer, you probably would have a better chance than maybe the author, or maybe you can talk to that too.
You are 100% correct. It's funny. We had a conversation about this yesterday because we're getting ready to launch 2 children's books this spring. We have spent hours and hours and hours culling YouTube, bloggers, Instagram, TikTok to find the right people who are promoting books, who are talking about books, who are sharing about books, and all of those platforms. And we for a long time with Write, Publish, Sell, we were doing done for you publishing and market book launch packages. And so as part of their book launch, this is what we were doing. We were reaching out to their genre, finding all of them, putting together. We have oodles of spreadsheets of people that we reached out to. Some of them are garbage, and it takes time. Shouldn't say garbage. They're not good leads because they've only posted like two accounts, and they don't, that's not where you want to put your time and money and energy. But anyway, yes, it can be very time consuming to do this research. But once you have your list, especially if you're a publisher who only focuses on a certain genre, once you have that, you can just rinse, use, and repeat. And to your question about the publisher influence, we found exactly that. So the reason I mentioned our Done For You was because we were reaching out on the author's account and we were getting hardly anything. But once we started reaching out through our Cat Biggie Press account, even though it wasn't the publisher even though these were independent authors, not publishing under Cat Biggie Press, just the fact that a publisher was reaching out to them seemed to give it a little bit more credibility, and they responded to us a lot more readily. So that is definitely a role that a publisher can play. And if you're thinking to yourself, I have no capacity for getting on Instagram every day and researching bookstagrammers and messaging them and all that kind of stuff, you can easily find a virtual admin who is a social media guru who would gladly do this for, their prices vary, but I mean, this is what they do. This is what they like to do. And it's for the time that they will save you very much worth the cost.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So before we wind down too much, I wanted to see, we've talked about Bookstagram, BookTube, and BookTok, but are there any other newer social media platforms that are popping up that you're like, oh, that's the hot one, that people should maybe look into as well?
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you, at some point in time, I reached capacity and just stopped caring if a new one popped up because I'm like, we got our hands full. But I would say not so new, but newer in general is Clubhouse. And that one is definitely worth the time for publishers to look into. And authors. There are tons of author communities on Clubhouse and publisher communities. And it's one that I honestly wish I had more time to spend on because I see the value of it. And the cool thing is it's hooked to Instagram. So the only way that people can follow you and contact you is through Instagram. So it's a great way to also build those connections that way. But it's audio only, which is cool. You don't have to worry about getting on video or doing that. And there's just some really fantastic communities and discussions happening out there. So if video doesn't sound right to you, if TikTok sounds overwhelming, you also don't have to have the same kind of engagement on Clubhouse. You just show up when people are opening rooms and participate in the conversation. I would direct you towards Clubhouse on that way.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I have heard of that. I myself, same thing, overwhelmed, was like, okay, great. I'll look into that 2027.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's on my 5-year plan. Yeah. And then Clubhouse will be gone and something else will be there. So.
All right. Yeah, exactly. That's the way to do plans is know for sure you won't actually have to do it. That's how you set it. Yeah. Well, so I then wanted to ask, I mean, Facebook and Twitter are clearly kind of like, I don't know, the grandfathers or whatever, grandmothers of the social media. But obviously, I don't know. Are they still good for books, or maybe
don't shut out Facebook and Twitter yet? There's actually a lot of activity still happening on both platforms. As a publisher, I don't spend hardly any time on Twitter. I'll tell you that. I do spend a lot of time on Facebook. We have groups on Facebook still have a lot of power. And one of the most impactful things your authors can do is have a Facebook reader group for invite their ARC team, invite their friends, invite people that they see along the way into a Facebook group, because they can post all kinds of stuff in there. They can go live, they can talk about their book, they can do events in there, they can share snippets of what's happening. Like, it's a really, really good way. And lots of successful authors still have reader groups on Facebook. And then TikTok is still a massive player for authors there, especially if you are if you're pitching. So, there's lots of editors out there. There's lots of agents. There's lots of other things like that. So maybe not so much from the publisher side, but you can follow and see what's happening. And if you're looking for authors, following those pitch, I think they call it PitMad and some other things, like it may be an opportunity to see what people are pitching out there. And if you're looking for a particular type of author, that would be a great place to be. But again, Twitter, it's just a matter of deciding where you want to put your time, energy, and effort. Twitter, maybe not the right choice, but it was the one that we chose to put on the back burner, just because there's not enough time to do everything. So we put our focus heavily into Instagram, and we're playing with TikTok. We really like it as people. We like TikTok, but we're not sure yet as a publishing entity, whether or not for our authors, we definitely encourage them to get out there and to do the work. But from the publisher side, I'm not ready to say it's not worth our time yet, because I see what's happening with BookTok, and I'm like, holy smokes, how do we make that happen? So from the publisher perspective, I'm saying, how do I find the most engaged accounts that are talking about authors like mine and create relationships with them? More so than trying to, dance around and create fun videos and stitch into it and all that fun stuff. That is fun, that my daughter does all day long. I just need to give her my books and be like, do this.
Okay, just go dance, hold this book. Thank you. Yeah, I know. Right. As I said in the beginning, and it's overwhelming. And I think everyone always says, find the one or two that work best for you, and don't feel like you have to do everything, because as we all know, if you're stretched too thin and you're doing too much, you're not going to do any one thing great.
That is correct.
Yeah. So, look, this is incredible information. You're a joy to talk to. I do want to mention you have multiple things you're working on, as we said. I mean, you've got Cat, Biggie Press, and Write, Publish, and Sell. You have the Women in Publishing Summit. Yes. Which we didn't get a chance to. I don't know if you want to quickly mention what that is, how people can get involved.
Yeah, I know you guys have the IBPA conference coming up, and we've actually had Angela on the Women in Publishing Summit on our very first year. She came in. We started it a few years ago. This is our 5th year, actually. We started it to really celebrate, empower, encourage, and support women in the publishing industry. I had perfect timing. I actually launched it the very first time just a few months before the Me Too movement. So, the marketing, again, sometimes it's just right place, right time. But we work to bring in a lot of really great speakers to help. Anybody can attend, but to celebrate the achievements of women in the industry and to provide really good training resources. So it runs the first week of March every year. And it is fully virtual. And Women's History Month is March. That's why we choose March.
Of course, yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you're doing that. It's important. So I want to mention, Write, Publish, Sell has a monthly membership program where you all guide authors and publishers through marketing strategy and how to use social media, to enhance their marketing efforts. See, it all ties in. So I'll put on the notes and all that your website, but I will also say it, writepublishsell.com/WIP, which is women in publishing. I'm assuming that, dash SCHOOL. But we'll put it on there too. And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you for being here. This is so interesting, and I think hopefully this gives people, it makes them feel a little better. Because it is too much. But you really did a great job of kind of going through each one. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it can be confusing, but it's fun. But like you said, pick one. Just pick one. You don't have to be everywhere.
Right. So to everyone listening and watching, make sure again to go to IBPA Publishing University. It's publishinguniversity.org. And if you want to learn more about IBPA and membership, visit ibpa-online.org. Also, make sure to subscribe to this podcast. New episodes come out the last Thursday of every month. Alexa, you're wonderful. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate this. It's just a great topic, and you're clearly an expert on it. So thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to give a plug for your membership. Joining IBPA was the smartest decision I ever made. So thank you to you guys. Your team is phenomenal.
Well, I didn't pay you at all to say that. You just said it. I'm just throwing that out there. Thank you. That's very kind of you.
We bug you guys so much. I appreciate your support.
We are always open. Our phone call. You can come to the office if you want to risk getting COVID, possibly. So anyway, thanks everyone for listening. And thank you, Alexa. And have a wonderful day, everyone.